Hi, this is Shashwat, and this video is my documentation of week 1 with Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. This book right here. So, this book, a little context about it, it's recommended by a lot of creative people to other creative people, people who feel a little lost, a little unproductive, and not in touch with their creativity. And it's supposed to be a book which really helps you with that. I mean, you help yourself with that, but this book gives you the tools and shows you a way to do that. It's been given to me by my beautiful partner Kritika, and I'm really happy to have begun this 12-week challenge which is in the book. So I'm going to walk you through a little of what exactly that challenge is, and this video will mostly be about my reflections on week 1 of that challenge. Now when I say challenge, it's not like ki go jump off a cliff or something. It's very simple things like wake up an hour or an hour and a half early every morning and do some writing, do some stream of consciousness writing. Just write whatever comes to your mind and just like translate it on paper, just write it on paper, just vomit it out and don't think about it. And it's not as random as I'm making it out to be. And there's prompts given for each day. There is certain themes of each week. So for instance, the week 1 theme is called recovering a sense of safety. So all the chapters in this book are actually divided by weeks, very interesting weeks. The first week is recovering a sense of safety. The week after that, second week, is recovering a sense of identity, recovering a sense of power, recovering a sense of integrity, and so on. And it really teaches you a lot of things, and really helps you with these things. So I'm at a point in my life where I feel very powerful about my creativity, my potential, but at the same time, I find myself utterly lost. I find myself just there's a haze of fog in front of me, and I'm not really able to channel my creative energies in any one thing and be able to make it work. So I'm at a point in my life where I've decided to take a little break and figure those things out, do things that I love, and learn things, and also do things like these, like this book, just really recover as an artist, thrive as an artist, be an ambitious artist. So my mom's, I think it's fine. I think that's completely fine. You know what? So I'll tell you what my three main takeaways for this week 1 has been in recovering a sense of safety, and take what you can from it. So number 1 is rejections. Now I am a very emotional person. I tend to take rejections very seriously, very deeply. It's something that I've picked up from my mom. She's also a very deeply emotional person. But artists are supposed to be a little thick skinned in that regard, especially professional creative people. You're supposed to, just take it, just take it and move on to the next thing. Somehow I've had a lot of problem doing that, and I take it very personally. I get really upset about it. I think about it for days. It bogs me down. It hinders my ability to do my work, love myself, do a whole bunch of other things. So I started noticing the nature of rejections. Ki why exactly does it make me feel the way it is? Like, is there something inherently wrong with what I'm doing, or is it something else? And I think after a lot of journaling, what I figured out was my creative self is actually what has been helping me throughout this. Like my creative skills, my creative ability should not take the hit when the rejection comes, because that is the only thing which is making me do so many things, making me love the things around me. And that is the thing that I end up blaming the most, that hey, I'm not creative enough, hey, I'm not productive enough. Like, where's my productivity basically means you're loving something that you're doing. So I'm not loving this enough, or there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with my creative skills, and I gotta do this, I gotta do that. But what I figured was most of the times it's like, एक तो there are a lot of things which are not in control. Like, you're like, say the place you work at going through a lot of financial issues, having major cash flow issues. There's that. There's just bad timing at some, like, at like some places. There is, like, a more like a toxic environment in some places. Like, there's so many things that are not in your control. So that's one thing. But then there's also like misalignments. Now, I'm someone who I feel like has been not very true about what I want to do. Like, because what I want to do is what I also love. Now, my original like passion and love is in, like, say filmmaking, or like, making really cool visual art. How much of that have I been really doing? Obviously those decisions, like the decisions that I made a few years ago, was based on market realities. Ki, like, there is very little money in this, it takes too much time, I might as well, like, move to a more lucrative field and do those things. And then कहीं ना कहीं वो like misalignment बहुत snowball होते जाता है, बढ़ते जाता है. And then, like, so what I figured was like mostly two things. Number one is like obviously like external things which are not in your control, and the second is the misalignments that you yourself go for. If you're putting yourself in a place where you don't want to work, if you are forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do, it's gonna, like, not go so great. And then at least, and it's fine, it's still fine, just don't take it really personally. Then just don't, your my creative, like my creative, this creative inner child that I have in front of me, inside me, is what has been keeping me afloat all these years. Is that, like, that child is the one who's been, like, propelling me through all these different phases of lives. So why do I have to, like, abandon it in moments like these? So rejections, definitely I see it as, like, I see it in a different light now. So there is that. And, like, and obviously I've been reading some philosophy lately. I have been reading a little of the Bhagavad Gita, and in it there's this talk that, like, Krishna and Arjuna are having, and usme there's a talk of dharma. Now, dharma back then meant a very different thing than it does now. It's not religion or anything. Dharma means like your duty to do something selflessly, without the expectation of any return. So, and you detach from the act of doing, like, you detach from the end results. Basically, you do something, you just do something without expecting anything in return, without, like just being affected by its return. Like, your duty, your selfless duty, is to just do things and not expect returns. Not get overly, like, really happy if it happens, go like really sad if it doesn't happen. Your dharma is to just do something. So I guess I have also, like, really, like, through all these writings, I have tried to understand that. And yeah, so that's rejections number one. Ki, like, basically these 2-3 aspects inside of it help me understand ki, like, rejections are fine, everyone goes through it, the most creative people go through it. It's nothing, it's okay, move on to the next thing, do next thing, do it selflessly, don't expect, like, things in return, just do things. Then there is negative thoughts. Now, I don't mean this like a boomer, ki, like, you have a negative attitude, and, like, you gotta have a billionaire mindset, grind set, or some shit like that. It's not like that. But what I have done is basically understood, like, these negative thoughts as, there is a distance between myself, my inner child, and these thoughts that I get. What this book has done is, in the first week, it's asked you to personify these things which come to you as monsters. Now, let me show you something that I have stuck up here. Let me introduce you to some of my monsters who, like, put these things in my head. Look at this. So I'll tell you what each of these means very briefly. There's this, and then there's पांच बनाना भूल गया था मैं. So this is like separately. So I'll tell you what each of these means. What these monsters do inside my head, like the havoc that they cause. This is called the sunk cost monster. Now, sunk cost monster comes from, obviously, sunk cost fallacy. It's this, like, it's this way of thinking ki, like, if you have put a lot of effort into something already, then there is no point in a recourse or changing how you're doing that thing, because you've already wasted so much time, money, and resources on it, or whatever. So sunk cost fallacy means ki, like, that cost has already gone, like all the resources that you've put into it, so you might as well just let it happen. Like, there's no point in recourse. This monster, the sunk cost fallacy monster, keeps telling me that all the time. If I wake up late in the morning, say around 10:30, 11, um, this monster tells me that, bro, your day is ruined now. Like, there's no way you can get out of this. Like, you've woken up so late. You can't go to the gym in the morning. You can't make time for writing this in the morning. You're gonna have breakfast late. Things are gonna keep piling up. And before I even start my day, it starts convincing me that my day is ruined. If end up doom scrolling for 1 or 2 hours on my phone, it ends up telling me, yo, like, all your main focus time is gone. You might as well just scroll for 1 or 2 hours more and, like, just be, like, done with your day and just, like, try again maybe tomorrow. But right now, there's no point in trying. So this is what this monster does. It keeps telling me that all the time, and I hate it. I've drawn a cross through it. The second one, this this one is one of the most powerful and omnipotent monsters inside me. I call it the observer and comparer. It does two things: it observes and it compares. It hovers over my head all the time. It's constantly watching my every single move. It's making me feel maybe body dysmorphic on some days. It's making me feel disgusted in whatever creative thing that I'm trying to do. What is this you've written? Like, this is so stupid. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Why are you even trying? There's no point. And, like, constantly comparing me. Hey, look at your peers, look at your friends. They're having a beautiful, awesome life. What the hell are you doing? And all the time, in not even the big things, like, life, this and that, like the tiniest of things. If I want to step out of the house for 15 minutes for a walk, it'll tell me, like, what are you trying to do? Like, are you trying to reduce weight? Has that been, like, working for you so far? Why are you even trying to do this? Like, you need to do a million other things first. So it's constantly making me hyper conscious. It's watching me in a third person view and projecting that view onto me and telling me negative things, filling up my head with those things and convincing me that those thoughts are my thoughts and not their thoughts, the observer and comparers. So that's what this monster does. It observes and compares. This one, third one, there's also these and these, like the observer and comparer, and this one are two of my strongest monsters, I feel like. So this is what I call the cynic monster or the cynicism monster, and very self-explanatory. It convinces me that, like, the world is going to shit. There's no point in trying, no point in doing anything. It doesn't matter. The world won't exist in its current form in 10, 15 years. Like, people are increasingly divided and social media is ruining people and AI is gonna ruin people more and everyone's violent and, like, everyone's, like, really, really, like, angry and, like, just everyone only cares about themselves now. It keeps telling me that it mostly, like, feeds off, like, through energy, it mostly feeds off through the news, like the news cycle. कि world में ये हो रहा है, this war is going on, that war is going on, and, like, this guy won in this country, this guy won in this state in our country, and, like, all sorts of things, both global news and, like, domestic news. It watches that, it observes that, and it convinces me, bro, this world is shit. Humanity is shit. It's been a long, long march to defeat, but it's finally here. We're at the edge of chaos, and there is no point in trying. And a lot of times, 90% of the times, I get convinced. I'm like, yeah, the world's shit. There's no point in trying. But those are his thoughts, not mine. And this guy's only job is to, like, keep me from, like, living a happy, fulfilled life. The life is what it is. Everything is what it is. I gotta see what's in my control, not in my control. And I can't, like, hinder my life because of the things going on around in front of me. But this guy convinces me that I have a personal stake in everything that's happening in the world, and I have the power to stop maybe some of those things in the tiniest way, and I'm not doing anything about it, and I'm being too self-indulgent and too, like, selfish about this. So that's this guy. And then this is a very easy one. This is more like a day-to-day, like monster guy. This is the distraction monster. Basically, he's holding a cupcake in one hand and a phone in the other hand. Basically, if I want to start any task, it'll come to me and say that, hey, like, it'll give me a craving or something. Like, let's go grab a chocolate or something, or, like, let's just scroll, like, scroll something, watch, like, just, like, let's just read, like, all the depressing news out there or something, whatever. The whole point is, like, to just distract me. Let's like, just, yeah, like, any kind of distractions. There's so many, but it's mostly, like, online platforms and cravings. Like, I figured it's mostly these two things. That's what the cravings monster does. And finally, this is the planning monster. This guy is his job is to convince me that before doing any sort of task, any creative task, you require a lot of extensive research, lot of preparation. You need to be very logged in about it. You need to have days and days of research. You need to know what you're doing. You can't just randomly initiate things. So this guy's only job is to convince me of that. And these are my monsters. I've done a cross through all of them because I hate them and they don't have any power over me. I have pasted them on my table up top, so that I keep seeing them all the time. But I also remind myself that all of the negative thoughts, all of my unhealthy patterns and the way I am is because of these guys, and I have the power to acknowledge that, recognize that, and put a stop to it. And every day basically is a battle between me and these guys. And obviously, you're not gonna win every day. Some days you're gonna get defeated. Some days you're gonna defeat only like these guys only a couple of times. But the point is to continuously keep recognizing that, acknowledging that, and fighting it. Like it's a cartoon episode. Okay, like cartoons, like in cartoons, the same villain comes back every single day to try something new, but the main guy like always defeats that villain, and then things go back to normal. But then they keep coming back again and again with new strategies in every episode, and the main guy's job is to defeat them again and again and again. So that's what this whole thing is like. I mean, it's not like they'll ever stop coming. You just have to keep at it, basically. So that's what I mean when I say distance from negative thoughts, which was my number two takeaway for this week. That all these things in my head, there is a distance from them. These are not my thoughts. These are these demons, these monsters inside me. Yeah. And number three, lastly, is acknowledging the creative inner child in me. Now, I know I've said it a couple of times, but let me explain. I feel like everyone says it, inner child or whatever, heal your inner child or whatever, without really delving into what it, actually is, what it means. I feel like, at least that's what I've done. I'm gonna grab some water. Yeah, I'm doing this in one take, no cuts at all. So, acknowledging the creative inner child, you recognize that a lot of your creative. What is creativity? Creativity is play. It's play. It's fun, right? It's not something that your logical brain does. It's not something that your analytical mind does. It's the part of your brain. Is it left brain or right brain? I think it's the left brain, right? It's the fun part, like it's the play part of your brain. That's what creativity is. It's that inner child of you. It's like the side of you which wants to see a little different in everything. Like as a child you make up, bro, you used to make up stories in your time, like in your head all the time. Like if you get two Hot Wheels cars or two action figures or whatever, I mean, this is a boy's experience growing up, but if you get them, you can design. As a kid, you used to design a whole world around it. Like, this is the lore, this is what's happening, and pura, like in your head you could imagine a whole movie with those little things with you, right? Or you could just daydream for hours and hours and hours. I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but it was for me. So creativity is that play part of your brain, and that play part comes from, like, obviously your inner child, your creative inner child. So I guess my biggest takeaway this week has been like acknowledging the presence of that. Creativity is not something that you force on the spot. Most of your creative ideas come when your brain is in a more relaxed state, when you're taking a shower, going for a walk, walking your dog, talking to someone. Just something comes and you, you end up noting it down for later use. That's what, that's because your brain is engaging in play at that time. It's very hard to enforce creativity. That's why it's so hard to teach creativity also. You can't teach someone to be creative. Creativity is, it's very organic. You don't, you can certainly learn the tools or some things, but it's not something you can learn like a course or something. Anyways, so we all have this, and what I have started to do is protect this inner child from all these my monsters, both like these internal monsters inside of me, and also external things which bother me. If I'm not feeling nice around someone, just taking my time away from that, and doing a, just acknowledging this. And this creative child, as I said before, is what has propelled me to great lengths previously, to doing awesome projects, going to awesome places, being adventurous, meeting new people, making new friends, coming across all sorts of crazy experiences. This is the creative inner child, that excitement, that adventure, that longing for adventure for that, like, of that child, which has propelled me to these places. So I have to cherish that child, I have to protect it, and I have to also protect it from abandonment, which I do so many times. I blame my creativity, I blame the way I am being, or and I more than that, I blame like something really deep inside me for the way I am. Like, why is it like this? Why can't I have like one productive day in 1 week? Why can't I get more things done? So in those moments, I blame like a lot of things inside me, really deep inside me, that other people are able to be like this. Why am I not like this? But in that moment, I'm like really abandoning my creative inner child, because that child wants to play. That it doesn't want to sit. Maybe like it maybe wants to go for a little walk. Maybe it wants to, like, go to a new place, have new experiences, and like, I have to understand those needs and I have to nurture it. And also, most importantly, I have to detach, like, keeping that child happy from metrics of productivity and success. That is something that I do a lot. Unless I've had a productive day, unless, like, I feel like somewhere I've had a, like, successful week of some sorts, or I'm doing good in life, only then I can, like, nurture for my creative inner child. But it shouldn't be like that. Like, why would you do that? Like, do you, like, give your child, like, would you give a child such, like, intense goals? Or like, would you have an expectation, like, with him or her, like, to do those things? Like, no. Like, your attachment with your own kid is very, very, like, secure. It's not conditional. And why does it have to be conditional for my child inside me, which enables me to do so many great things? Why do I abandon it in, like, moments where it's asking to be taken out to somewhere new? So regarding that, going to somewhere new, one another thing that this book does, like, that is the non-writing bit of this book, is something called an artist date. So Julia Auntie, in this Julia Auntie in this book says that basically your creativity is like a pond. You have to, every time you're engaging yourself in a creative task, you're drawing from that pond, and after a time that pond gets empty, and you can't force yourself to, like, keep being more productive, or keep being more creative and artistic when that pond is empty. And basically what she says is that pond is filled by new experiences, new visual experiences, basically. And that means going somewhere new. So that's the whole concept of artist date, that once a week you set out time for 2 3 hours, and you go somewhere new, you try something new. Okay, so for me it was going to an art gallery in Lucknow, called, it's in Lucknow Bioscope. I went there. I, like, saw a lot of, like, really, really interesting Awadhi Lucknowi art, explored it, watched an exhibit, just socialized with some people a little, and then I ended up, like, getting called to a music jam, and went there, had a really good time, met a lot of really good, like, nice people, and, like, went to a dinner by myself to a completely new place in Lucknow, which I've never been to before, called Joan Hing Restaurant. It's one of the oldest original Chinese restaurants in Lucknow, apparently run by actual Chinese people, who've been here for really long. So all these new experiences, like, I went to an art gallery in Lucknow, met new people who I've never met before, um, tasted something, or like had something, been, like, went to a place which I've never been to before. I felt really good. It felt really refreshing. I did feel like, yeah, like, I feel better. Like, my mind feels really relaxed, really lighter the next day. And that was amazing. And that's the point of an artist date, and that's the point of, like, nurturing for your, like, that's how you basically, that's one of the ways you nurture for your creative inner child. You keep taking it out to, like, seeing new things. Like, literally, that's you think of it as another entity who resides inside you. It's a younger version of yourself. It's like a 10, 15, 20 years old younger version of yourself. Like, why would you want to, like, just make it sit down in one spot and make it, like, work, like, just work, like, like, I gotta get this done right now, when it's like just sitting like this with, like, a pouty face, and it just wants to be taken out. And I guess I've really, really, I have acknowledged that. I understand that. I understand. There's a certain distance between these things, like, my monsters and me, my creative inner self and me. I feel like, I mean, these are all part of me. These are what makes me. I'm not schizophrenic or anything, but I see them as, like, these various elements inside you, which you can control to a certain extent, and you can nurture for them or avoid them in different ways. So week one has been that recovering a sense of safety. It's okay. It's okay. Rejections are fine. Breaks are fine. And this is what this week has been. So it's been amazing. It's a 12-week challenge. I'll try my very best to document every single week. This has been the end of my 1 week, and it's been great. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I don't know, I don't know if you get if anyone watched it the whole 27 minutes it's been till now, but thank you so much. I hope you try this book. I hope it does awesome things to you. It most likely will. You just have to make the time. You have to make an hour to an hour and a half worth of time on an average every day of the week, all 7 days, no breaks. If you can just do that, it'll be the best thing that will ever happen to you, quite honestly. And yeah, stay tuned for next week. Bye bye.